I don't see my slides.
Once we start the presentation, we will put up the slides.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So good morning to one and all again. Welcome to the second session of Day 2 FDP program, sponsored by AICTE, organized by the Department of Biotechnology, the Oxford College of Engineering. So our speaker for this session is Dr. K.S. Jagadish. He is a FAO Fellow, Professor of Agricultural Microbiology, Department of Forest Biology, College of Forestry, Sirsi. Sir holds a PhD in Agricultural Microbiology from University of Agricultural Science, Dharwad. He also holds a certificate course in Genetic Engineering from Indian Institute of Science and his post-graduation and undergraduation from University of Agricultural Sciences, Bangalore. He has also been awarded a University Gold Medal for his work on the third International Postgraduate Course on Biotechnology in Agriculture, Plants and Microorganisms from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, Israel. So he currently is a professor and dean at the College of Forestry, Sirsi. Sir has various awards, recognitions and distinctions from various organizations. He is a recipient of ICAR Senior Fellowship to pursue PhD in Agricultural Microbiology. He is the recipient of the University of Agricultural Science Gold Medal for getting first rank in PhD program. He was awarded the Food and Agricultural Organization Fellowship to attend the third international training course on biotechnology in agriculture, plants and microorganisms, held from 20th December 2000 to 15 February 2001 at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, Israel. He is also awarded the INSA KO SEF Indo-Korean Bilateral Exchange Award to undergo advanced training in the field of microbial biotechnology for a period of 3 months at Gwangju National University, Gwangju, Korea. He was awarded the Scientist of the Year 2006 award by National Environmental Science Academy, New Delhi. He is also awarded the INSA Tuba Indo-Turkish Bilateral Exchange Award to visit Editepe University, Istanbul, for preparation of a joint collaborative research project proposal from 1st October to 15th October 2009. He's been recognized by Indian Council of Agricultural Research as one of the members of the essential review team of AICRP Renewable Energy Resource dated 1/9/2011 for the period ending 31st March 2012. He is also recognized as a Department of Biotechnology nominee on the Institutional Biosafety Committee of Navy Biologicals Private Limited, Navya Biological Private Limited, Incubation Center, University of Agricultural Sciences, Dharwad. Sir holds around 106 publications, research papers in journals of repute. He has presented around 77 papers in various conferences and seminars. He has 7 book chapters to his credits and published around 25 popular articles in leading newspapers and popular magazines. He is also a member of Society of Soil Biology and Ecology. He is a life member of Association of Microbiologists of India, Indian Network of Soil Contamination Research, and also a life member of National Environmental Science Academy. Sir has guided around 27 students of both PhD and MScs. Sir, on behalf of the student, staff and the management of the Oxford College of Engineering, I take this as a privilege to welcome you as our guest speaker for today's session, sir. Sir, welcome to this session. And sir, you may kindly start with the presentation. I hope you can see the slide.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dr. Salma, for the nice introduction. Good morning, everybody. At the outset, I profusely thank Dr. Manjunath. Manjana, that is how he is affectionately called by all his friends and including me. And the principal of the college and management of Oxford College of Engineering for giving me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts and innovations and bio-entrepreneurship possibilities from biotechnology. Well, this is my first slide. The title is Towards Development of a Biostimulant Using Forest Genetic Resource for Use in Agriculture. As all of you are aware, the theme or title of your FDP is Bioinnovations, IPR Issues and Entrepreneurship Possibilities in Agriculture or in Forestry. I'm sorry, in Biotechnology. Well, my title I feel fits in properly to the theme of your FDP. Well, you can see some photographs. These are relevant in the sense that I have shown the picture of a lantana, which is a forest genetic resource abundantly available, not only in forest areas. Now it is spreading, being a menace into agriculture fields, also the all along the roads of the highways, etc. The second picture is of lactic acid bacteria. So I will give a brief introduction about lactic acid bacterial fermentation. And I have three pictures of different crops here. One is the cowpea, an agricultural crop, a cashew, a horticultural crop, a Pongamia, a forestry species. Well, there are some captions here. Biostimulants. There are many definitions to biostimulants. The one that is accepted and approved by European Biostimulants Industry Council is, it is any substance or substances and are microorganisms. Microbes may be there or may not be there also. When we apply such a formulation to plants, either through spray or seed treatment or soil application, it will stimulate natural processes, mind it, natural processes, which will enhance the nutrient uptake, nutrient efficiency is increased, tolerance to abiotic stress is increased, and ultimately crop growth is increased, besides crop quality. Okay, these are all biostimulants. It's a generic term, in fact, which includes biocontrol agents, biopesticides, bioinsecticides, biofertilizers, and so on and so forth. Well, biostimulants has an edge over other agri inputs like fertilizers or pesticides, in the sense that there are no regulatory pathways, or currently they are being fabricated or designed. So that is an advantage to an entrepreneur. I'm sorry for the slow changeover.
So just tell me when to change the slide. I will change it at that time.
Oh, you will change it there?
Yes, sir.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Okay. Well, this is the overall composition of any biostimulant. It will contain a number of humic substances, humic acids, proteins and degraded products like amino acids, fatty acids, a number of enzymes will be there, chitosan products, phytohormones, bioactive molecules, secondary metabolites, and some microorganisms and their cells. Next slide. Well, the overall composition of biostimulants, based on this, there are broadly three categories of biostimulants: humic acid based biostimulants, protein hydrolysates based biostimulants, seaweed extract based biostimulants. I'll just give in brief about these composition based biostimulants. Each one can be a bio enterprise. Each one can be a startup program. Next slide, please. Well, humic acids, all of us know about humus. Humus is the end degraded product of any soil organic matter, the one that is not further degraded. So that is humus, which contains humic acid and fulvic acids. So we have huge availability of organic matter degraded by microorganisms, and ultimately we get humus. From humus we can get these humic acid and fulvic acids. So there is a small difference between these two. Next slide, please. So fulvic acid is another component of humus, a component of soil organic matter, which has relevance in chelation of nutrients, mobilization of nutrients through cation exchange. That means more the humus in a soil, more the nutrient availability. Next slide, please. Okay, so how do we get these humic acids or fulvic acids from humus? There are proven methodologies. So consider any plant residue or animal residue which is rich in organic matter. So there is an alkali treatment, and finally you get these two fractions. Next slide, please.
Sir, I've changed the slide.
Okay. Here is an illustration of treating a tomato with a biostimulant called trainer. So you can see this is untreated, that is control, and this is sprayed with trainer, a biostimulant. You can see increase in the rooting, that is root biomass is increased, leading to shoot biomass, and ultimately more fruits and more yield. So this is to show the positive effect of spraying a stimulant, biostimulant, on any crop. Next slide. So the other parameters also, there is an increase in like shoot dry weight is increased. This is control, and this is spraying at 6 ml per liter. So there is an increase in shoot dry weight, root length, root mean diameter, etc. Next slide. Other parameters like shoot weight, root weight, total dry matter production, SPAD. SPAD relates to chlorophyll content. Okay, they are all increased due to simple one spray of biostimulant. Next slide. Okay, so these proteins we can consider plant-based or even animal-based, such as including fish-based protein. So there are proven methods as to how to get hydrolysates from soy protein. So there are proven methods, and this is the commercial production of protein hydrolysates. Next slide, please. Similarly, using fish waste, so we can get hydrolysates either through chemical hydrolysis method or enzymatic hydrolysis method. So once we have the hydrolysates, it has a number of uses. One such use in agriculture is as a biostimulant. Some companies have already come out with fish-based hydrolysate-based biostimulant under the brand name here, for example, Lakshmi. Next slide. Okay, so that is about second, that is humic acid based biostimulants. Number one, protein based biostimulants, seaweed extract based biostimulants. Well, we are aware of different ecosystems, terrestrial, marine, etc. So marine ecosystem, lot of naturally grown seaweed biomass available. The such seaweeds, for example, in aquatic seaweed like water hyacinth is more common in our lakes or ponds. So we generally harvest and very crudely used as an organic manure through composting. So yet another very important aspect about seaweeds is that since they produce valuable secondary metabolites and other bioactive molecules, so these are extracted. There are different extraction procedures. Simple water extraction method, acid or alkali treatments are done. These are some of the examples of commercially exploited seaweeds: Ascophyllum, Fucus, Laminaria, etc. Next slide. So another method is a simple physical disruption using low temperature and high pressure. This is brown seaweed. So such, when we extract or when we get such extract, the liquor, it is a mixture of micronutrients, plant hormones, amino acids, antioxidants, and other secondary metabolites. Next slide. That means their value is immense also in agriculture. Next slide. So recently one startup in Bangalore has initiated this program. The name of the startup is C6 Energy. It is situated on the campus of GKVK Bangalore. So their activities include approaches to increase the growth of the biomass, seaweed biomass, and they have designed one machinery called C combined machinery, with the help of which they effectively harvest the huge biomass, and through their patented technologies they extract the seaweed, and once they have the liquor they use it for different purposes. One such use in agriculture is as a biostimulant. So they have released the product under the brand name AgroGain. In fact, recently they have been recognized as the one in top 10 innovative biotech startups, precisely 7th grade. So top innovative biotech startups award they have been conferred with. Next slide, please. Okay, if you look at the biochemical composition of any biostimulant, it will have proteins catering to nitrogen and sulfur to crops, carbohydrates to microorganisms in the rhizosphere, antioxidant chemicals, micronutrients, very important in agriculture and plantation crops, a number of enzymes, and growth stimulating chemicals. So all these are present in a biostimulant formulation. Next slide. Well, what are these applications? The applications of these biostimulants in agriculture. First of all, growth promotion. How growth promotion is accomplished? So first of all, there will be increase in the seed germination. Okay, 90 and above % germination is achieved. So more number of plants per unit area. There will be good initiation of root hairs. So more root hairs, more root length. So once there is more root biomass, more and more absorption of nutrients, which will be translocated to the shoot system. So more shoot system or more biomass, more leaf area, more photosynthesis, and ultimately more growth and yield. And it is a rich reserve of soil nutrients. And not only the yield is increased, but also the quality of the product also is increased, like taste, shelf life of fruits. There have been lot of reports on these aspects, and they also are known to improve drought tolerance of crops. They are known to stimulate plant's immune system by triggering the secondary metabolite or defense molecules. Also, there is increase in the cation exchange capacity. These are some of the merits of biostimulants in agriculture. Next slide. Well, the market for biostimulants globally is increasing. It is growing at the rate of 12% per annum, and it is expected to reach by 2025 about $5 billion. The largest market for biostimulants happens to be in Europe, and in Europe, about 6.2 million hectare was treated with the biostimulants. Next slide. India also is not lagging behind. In 2017, the Indian biostimulant market was to the tune of $72 million, and it is also growing very fast at the rate of about 16.5%. By 2023, is expected to reach about $180 million. Next slide, please. So that means there is a huge demand for biostimulants. India is an agrarian country. Agriculture is the chief occupation. So anything to develop the country, agriculture must be improved. So agricultural productivity must be increased. So the purchasing power of farmers must be increased. So that is how biostimulants pave a way for increasing productivity or increasing the growth and yield and ultimately the productivity of agriculture. So there are in the market, in the Indian market, hundreds and hundreds of products are already available, okay, which try to attract the farmers by captions like root booster, flower jumbo, so grow on. Likewise, I just showed here only representative of the biostimulants. So what I mean to say here is there is a huge market for biostimulants in agriculture, which can be formulated. The biostimulants can be formulated using abundantly available resources surrounding us through biotechnological processes, either through microbiological approach or enzyme approach or plant genetic engineering approach. In the morning we listened to a lecture by Dr. Dinesh, so wherein he highlighted the importance of genetic engineering or molecular biology techniques in upregulating the genes involved in biosynthesis of the secondary metabolites, etc. So here is another approach, yet another biotechnological approach, to produce a value-added product from a waste material or abundantly available raw material into a value-added product so that sustainability can be achieved. Next slide, please. Okay, so coming to lantana, all of us have seen this hedge plant. Actually, it is an invasive weed. It was earlier confined to forest and plantation areas. Now it has come to agricultural fields, and also it has covered the area all along the highways and other roads. It is a rich source of, biochemically if you analyze, it's a rich source of a number of bioactive molecules and phytochemicals belonging to terpenes, steroids, flavonoids groups. Next slide. Yeah, as I mentioned to you, it has spread to the open spaces all along the roads, in plantations, forests, etc. And it is spreading the country at a very fast rate. It has covered about 13 million hectares in India and other countries as well. Next slide. So what I mean to say here is Lantana camara is another forest genetic resource available abundantly. It is a lignocellulosic material. And as I mentioned to you that a number of medicinal uses of lantana has already been documented by scientists from Pharmacy College, from Ayurvedic College, like it has been shown to have carminative effect, antiseptic effect. It has been used for treatment against scratching, stomachache, wound healing. It is got antimicrobial, antioxidant, and insect repellent properties. Next slide, please. So these properties, hold promise to be used in agriculture. There are other uses of lantana. So one such important.
So you're not audible? Jagdish sir, are you there? Sir, we are unable to hear you.
Okay, how do I do that? Close the system. Okay, arrow, back arrows. Oh, it's come, it's come. It has come. It has come. Okay, other uses of lantana very effectively used in the production of furnitures. There have been many NGOs which are propagating and popularizing the effective use of lantana being converted into furnitures. So one such NGO in Malay Madheshwara Hills, Chamarajnagar is that Lantana Craft Center is an NGO, so which give training to tribals, okay, on the collection, then some treatment, then heating, bending, and final assembling of these furnitures. So if you go through the web, you can see a lot of NGOs in the country being involved in the popularization of such lantana based furnitures, giving some revenue to the tribal people. Next slide, please. Well, as I mentioned to you that it has some antimicrobial activity. So we tested the antimicrobial activity of the leaves of lantana against agriculturally important plant pathogens like Xanthomonas, Pseudomonas, Aspergillus, Rhizopus, etc. It has shown to be very effective. Next slide, please. So inspired by these observations. Okay, so there is another concept. So I mentioned to you that lantana as the raw material, fermentation and microbes is the bioprocessing and tested in agricultural crops. Okay, now we'll come to bioprocessing. So all of us are familiar with the word fermentation. The simplest fermented product which we can think of is the pickle. So wherein the raw materials are converted into value-added product, palatable product, anti-nutritional factors removed, etc. And also during the fermentation, there will be release of the bioactive molecules. The morning session we listen to the bioactive compounds produced by a number of medicinal and aromatic plants, and there is a limit for the production. Okay, it is produced all right, it is deposited in different tissues. It has to be recovered, isn't it? It has to be extracted. So here is a method, a sustainable method, a microbial method, a fermentation method, wherein following this process, we can enhance the release of the bioactive molecules from the tissues. So once we have bioactive molecules in our liquor, in our suspension, in our extract, so we will be achieving the economic returns to a greater extent. And there have been many reports about the increase in the the release of the therapeutic chemicals from medicinal plants. Next slide, please. So inspired by these concepts like abundantly available lantana and its medicinal properties, bioactive molecular composition, etc. Number one, and lactic, being microbiologist, lactic acid bacterial fermentation background. So what we did, so we collected the lantana leaf biomass, okay, so and crush it with water, you get a extract. Mind it, there are two types of extracts, fermented extract and just extract. So this is the just extract. Then we subjected this extract for lactic acid bacterial fermentation. Okay. So after the fermentation is over, we collected the liquor. Okay. This is the original concentration of the liquor, lantana fermented extract. So this lantana fermented extract was diluted to different concentration and tested on different crops. Okay. That we will see in the next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, the protocol goes like this: lantana leaves and water ground in pestle and mortar, filter it, then of course add the starter for fermentation, dextrose, and inoculate with two organisms. Here I am mentioning two lactic acid bacterial isolates, TJH and 20 and DB27, two strains belonging to Leuconostoc genera. In fact, in one project, we had isolated, characterized 200 and above lactic acid bacteria for various characteristics. So here we screened all these lactic acid bacteria for their tolerance to this lantana extract, because lantana extract concentrate at higher concentration is toxic to lactic acid bacteria also. So that's what we optimize the concentration at which lactic acid bacteria will not die. Okay, so that particular concentration only we used it further, and then we allowed for fermentation for 5 days. Next slide, please. So this is how we tested the tolerance of lactic acid bacterial collection for different concentration of lantana extract. Next slide, please. Okay, ultimately we boiled down to two strains, DB27 and TJH. So these are the two strains. Next slide. The attributes of these slides I'll show you. These two isolates. Okay, so both the isolates produced IAA. It's a phytohormone, indolestic acid, very important in agriculture. Gibberellic acid, again important in agriculture. Protease and lipase activities, again important in degradation activities in soil. And then antimicrobial or antifungal activity like Trichum and Sarcophagus. These are plant pathogens. That means our strain has is able to produce some antifungal compounds which will kill these two plant pathogens. So these are the attributes of two isolates. Next slide, please. Okay, so what we did, so we had different treatments. TJH inoculated, DB27, natural fermentation. There was in fact one more. So this is fermented. There was one more unfermented. Unfermented extract. Okay, I have not included here for some valid reason. Anyway, so what I mean to say is we assayed for different phytochemical and biochemical composition, including microbiological composition. So you can see here NPK. So these are the naturally fermented values, and whereas in both lactic acid bacteria inoculated systems, they were all increased. Between these two, DB27 was the superior strain in terms of the biochemical composition. The values in parentheses include the increase in the percent increase over control. That means there was 34.5% more increase in nitrogen compared to control. Control here is natural fermentation. That means this is the best. Similarly, 19%, 47, 38, 96. So likewise, NPK, phytohormone concentration, phenols, flavonoids, they were all increased due to lactic acid bacterial fermentation. And so very high between the two. DB27 was most superior between the two systems. Next slide, please. and also the microbial population. So we now have a fermented extract which is rich in NPK, flavonoids, antioxidants, more bacterial population, fungal population, actinomycoid population, and their enzymes, etc. Such an extract, such a fermented extract was used in agriculture. So initially, it was that extract was tested on the germination, proven techniques. Next slide, please. So we conducted a pot culture experiment. We estimated the germination percent. You can see here, control is 81, whereas treated is 96. So germination is increased from 81 to 96%. Shoot length from 15 to 19. Root length also is increased. Seedling vigor index is increased. Dry matter production is increased. Okay, simply by treating seeds, dipping seeds in the lactic lantana fermented extract. Next slide, please. Some more parameters we studied. Okay, similarly, this is with another strain, second lactic acid bacterial strain. So there also similar observations were made. Increase in germination, shoot length, seedling vigor index, and dry matter production. Then we conducted a pot culture experiment. A number of treatments were envisaged. Next slide. That means lab 1 fermented extract, lab 2 fermented extract, different concentrations of spraying. This is a general view of the experimental layout. This is done by my MSc student. Next slide. Okay, so we assessed for different parameters. Plant height, you can see here. I'm sorry, this is control. T14 is control. So lactic acid fermented extract fermented using DB27. So 5 ml per liter, 10 ml per liter. You can see here. So there was a increase in all these parameters when compared to control. Next slide. Some more parameters were envisaged. Okay, this is a picture to show the difference in the biomass height due to lactic acid vector. I'm sorry, the LFE spraying, lantana fermented extract spraying. Next slide. Okay, this is control. You can see the height and biomass. This is the best treatment, 10 ml per liter, spraying twice. You can see the increase in the biomass. 2 seedlings, here also 2 seedlings. You can see the increase in the biomass. Next slide. Okay, this is a picture to show the effect of different treatments. Okay, this is control. You can see there are promising treatments. Slide. Other parameters were also tested, like microbiological parameters in the rhizosphere. So high increase in the nitrogen fixing bacterial population. Okay, these are all important in increasing the fertility of the soil. So they were all increased. Next slide. This is in the phyllosphere because we sprayed onto the leaves, isn't it? So what is happening to the dynamics of microorganisms on the leaves? So there also we found that these beneficial microbial groups were all increased due to spraying. Next slide. So rhizosphere microbial population take care of nutrition. Phyllosphere microbial population takes care of protection. Protection from infection by pathogens or by even insects. Then we also monitored the various soil enzymes, the activity due to spraying, like phosphatase. Next slide, please. Urease, dehydrogenase, etc. Next slide, please. So they were all increased in T7 and T9. So this is a graphical representation of increase in the soil enzymatic activities due to spraying. This is under check conditions. These are all different treatments, promising treatments. Next slide. So we also monitored the yield and yield components. So number of green gram pods per plant. What is the weight of these pods? What are the number of seeds in each pod, and totally grain yield per plant, per pot or per plant. So you can see here in the check control 5.6 units, whereas in T7 9.47, T8 10.5. The values in parentheses indicate percent increase over control. That means 100 and 133. That means doubling of the yield. See, Government of India is now promoting various schemes to increase the yield, doubling of the yield, doubling of the returns to farmers. So this is one way by which we can think of doubling our agricultural yields by simple adoption of or by development and adoption of a biostimulant which is lantana based, which is abundantly available in our area. Next slide, please. Okay, not only agriculture, we also tested the effect of these biostimulants on other tree species like cashew. Next slide, please. And Pongamia. Pongamia is a agroforestry based system. So you can see here control is 34. Shoot length and number of branches you can check. So 34 centimeter is increased to 38 by spraying with lantana fermented extract. Number of branches also was increased from 5.5 to 6.3. This is statistically significant. Some more parameters. Next slide. So these are the experiments conducted in a nursery, forest nursery. So we grow the seedlings for 60 days to 90 days in a nursery and then transplanted. You can see here, this is the control, whereas this is the treated. You can see the increase in the height, number of the leaf area is more, biomass is more, and also we measure the thickness. Thickness is very important in the transplanting crops because this helps. If the girth is more, so it will resist transplant shock. Otherwise, there will be deaths or survival will be percent survival will be less if the thickness is small. Next slide, please. So we estimated the girth of the seedlings due to spraying with fermented extract. You can see here it is increased from 4.6 to 5.8 mm. So collar diameter, that is the girth, is increased. Root length, number of leaves, number of branches, they were all increased due to spraying with fermented lantana extract, indicating that not only in agriculture, next slide please, but also in other crops also this can be conveniently be used. This is another picture to show the effect of spraying on Pongamia. Okay, this is after second spraying. Control, this is treatment 1 and treatment 2. Next slide. So we also conducted an experiment on cashew. Similar results were also obtained in cashew also. So you can see here, this is control and then this is the treated, indicating that this lantana fermented extract is working or brings about positive impacts not only in agricultural crops but also in other types of crops also. Next slide, please. Okay, to conclude, well, lantana is abundantly available. We consider lantana. There could be other abundantly available weeds or biomass available one can think of. So we consider lantana, and with the knowledge of fermentation, we thought we will ferment it with some lactic acid bacteria. So which we did and obtained wonderful results. It increased all the biochemical composition. Okay, the fermentation helped in the release of all these phytochemicals. When such a liquor or an extract was sprayed onto crops, okay, so it increased the growth parameters and ultimately yield. Okay, so thus the study indicated that so we can develop biostimulants using our surrounding abundantly available biomass, using microbiological or enzymatic approaches, or in general biotechnological approaches, which can be later used in a sustainable manner. Next slide, please. However, there are some research on the anvil, like before we entrepreneurship level, there is a need to corroborate these results with field scale studies. All right, we have done it under horticulture studies. Anyway, this has to be taken to field level study. And also, what is more important is formulation development. You biotechnologists should help in this regard. Like, all right, I have an extract now, fermented extract. So, how to develop it as a product? That means how to formulate, like the keeping quality, how to increase the shelf life, or what is the biopreservative to be added, what is the cost of that, etc., etc. All need to be worked out. So anyway, though these things need to be done, I have a couple of entrepreneurship possibilities to mention here is protein-based biostimulant, fish-based biostimulant can be thought of as two enterprises using the abundantly available biomass. In this case, lantana. Next slide, please. So thank you very much for your attention. Salma ji, any questions?
Dear participants, if you have any questions, please unmute yourself and ask. Participants, any questions? Sir, we have a question from one of the participants. Ms.
Yeah,
Aswati,
go ahead. Go.
are there any disadvantages of using biostimulants?
Disadvantage? None. What do you mean by disadvantage? Disadvantage in terms of decreasing the growth of any crop. Okay, so it doesn't happen. It will not happen because spraying a liquor or a solution which has got some nutrients, which has got some microbes in it, which has got some phytochemicals. Okay, all would result in positive impact. Okay, no negative impact. But good thinking, good thinking. No inhibitory action.
Sir, another question. Sir, will excessive usage of biostimulant cause biomagnification in water bodies?
Well, here there are no heavy metals. It is all micronutrients and NPK, major nutrients also in very small concentration, which will be when you spray onto a leaf. So as such, I told you, I showed you maybe the third or fourth slide, the exhaust chemical composition of any biostimulant. It is all a natural product, plant products, microbial products, no synthetic chemicals, no man-made chemicals in that, no artificial chemicals in that. These are all natural. That too will be in very small concentration. Okay, there is no fear of any water body being polluted or eutrophied, because N content also is very small. Whatever you add is immediately assimilated. Whatever you spray, whatever you add to soil, it is not in excess. It is not in excess. Nitrogen, it is in very small concentration.
So those were the questions, and I say thank you for the reply that was given.
Thank you, madam.
Okay. Sir, on behalf of the staff, student, and the management, the Oxford College of Engineering and Department of Biotechnology, we express our heartfelt gratitude for being our guest speaker for today and giving such an informative talk on forestry. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Manjana. Thank you, Salma ji. Thank you all the participants.